Hello guys. You know what time it is? It's Gamera Jr. So we see the same scene of Gamera Jr. hatching, but instead of it hatching from the human's perspective, it's actually hatching from the turtle's perspective. So just imagine it's a POV shot and like the camera's just trying to get outside the egg and so Gamera Jr. has become as hatched, and they haven't really noticed they have noticed his tusk, but they haven't really acknowledged it yet. So the one of the main characters use it. One of the main characters they name the turtle Toto, but not after a nickname that their deceased mother gave to them. No, they're actually named after the band Toto. You know. So more character development and the main characters getting attached to Toto. Well, in this montage thing, it stops in the middle, and then it shows a news report on this TV, and the anchor's like, so there's a bunch of people disappearing in India, and there's a white UFO going around shooting purple lights everywhere, and yeah, since Gamera's dead, yeah, we're screwed. And then it goes back to fun with Toto. Yay! Maybe even let Toto listen to some Toto. I love this gif. I feel violated right now. There we go. There we go! Bruh, please stop. Okay, back to Gamera. So the UFO flies down the Taj Mahal and lands, but it's not just a UFO. Oh, that would still be terrifying. It's a Gauss, and not just any normal Gauss. It is an albino Gauss. And there is a lot of Gauss following this albino individual, suggesting that it is not only a female, but the queen of this swarm. And the swarm goes after literally everything that moves. If you take a single step, you're done. And you can't hide either because, there's a swarm. They're everywhere. So, yeah, I added lasers the sonic cutters being fired by all the normal Gauss. So, yeah. And, I almost forgot. So, Toto's been growing very much, but he's never flown or refire. At this point, he's actually 6 foot tall. Yeah, he's actually tall enough to play basketball. Wow. Speaking of which, why has Gamera never played basketball? I mean, he's done basically everything else. He's done gymnastics. He's played his theme song on a makeshift xylophone that also happens to be a shark alien, covered with tons of metal armor. And he mutilated snake twins. No, seriously. He actually mutilates the Garasharp twins so they don't harm humanity. So why hasn't he played basketball? And also Toto looks a little bit like his Gamera the Brave incarnation, aka the original. And fun fact, the main characters these main characters are only the main characters of the first act. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. As soon as they figure out Gamera, they Toto's Gamera, they reluctantly let him escape the sanctuary and go off to fight the albino gals. As you can expect, it takes a while to get from mainland to India. So Gamera grows on his way to get to the Taj Mahal. And by the time he's there, he's almost full grown and he's ready to battle, but there's nobody there. Yep. Nobody's there except for a pile of human remains that are barely shown other than quick glimpses and POV shots of Gamera looking around. Yeah. So we meet our actual main character, an archaeologist who's at the wrong place at the wrong time. But she's also found an opal. So Gamera makes his way over to the place where albino Gyaos is, and they fight. So basically, at the end of the fight, Gamera comes up with a strategy. He goes in his flying form and chases down the Gyaos, and the albino Gyaos turns around and he starts ramming her. And he's also spinning, by the way. So not only is he ramming her and pushing her back, but he's actually hitting her with the flames. Yep, you heard that right. He's actually trying to fry the albino Gyaos. The Gamera Jr.'s plan works, and the albino Gyaos is burned alive. And also, if I did not mention already, Gamera is never mentioned as Toto ever again. Never again after the sanctuary does anyone call Gamera Jr. Toto. He's either called Gamera or Gamera Jr. or a big tortoise or something, I don't know. So 30 minutes of more character development with little action comes around, and everyone thinks, hey, well, not really 30 minutes, maybe like 10 minutes. But anyways, long enough that everyone keeps thinking, hey, Gamera just beat the new threat, and it's been an hour in. Doesn't that mean the movie's over? Then suddenly, a robber walks up to the lady and and he well he takes the opal away and runs with it, but not without some threatening at gunpoint first. Later, our main character does end up finding the robber again, and that ends up in an actual human fight. Our main character thinks she got her opal back, but it ends up just being. But the opal ends up being just a smooth and pebble. The opal was left under a lamp the entire time. Suddenly, the opal breaks, and a baby reptile emerges from the cracks. It's 2 days later. Everything looks absolutely fine in the sunlight, but it's not. Near night, at early evening, when the sun's starting to set, this thing pops up in mainland city 2. Wait a second. Technically, this would be mainland city 3 because the fights and when Gamera fought Virus, it was in mainland city 2, but Maldaroff was in a different city, so mainland city 3. So Baragon is here, wrecking stuff. He hasn't used any abilities yet. Then suddenly, Gamera Jr. rushes to battle. By the way, this is actually the very first time the people of mainland have ever seen Gamera Jr. I mean, the people of India were saved by him, but he didn't go to mainland before this. I mean, the only place he was in mainland was in the sanctuary. So, yeah. So Gamera does a pretty big tour across mainland city 2 while battling Barugan. Yeah, I decided to change his name from Barugan to Barugan to avoid confusion between Barugan and Baragon and Barugaran. And plus, Barugan is a very common misspelling of Barugan, so why not? So guess what? The robber guy is still in the movie. So currently he's trying to do something. I don't know what, but it's very, very bad. Mainland city police department copter comes in, and yeah, the thing goes over to the criminal, and outside of the copter steps a detective. And who's this detective, you may be asking? Well, this detective happens to be the very same one who was in Gamera versus the Slicing Reaper. The robber guy's like, get away now. Okay, so imagine this. There's a robber, and then there's a detective, like which are obviously the two I've mentioned. Now they're standing on a rooftop, and the robber has an AK-47 pointed at the detective's head, and the detective has no weaponry. And not to mention there's two armored kaiju battling it out below them. And they still fight. The fight ends with the detective hanging off of the side of the building, while the robbers on top with the AK-47 still pointing at this dude's head. Our detective is preparing for the worst. I mean, why wouldn't you be? You're literally hanging off the side of the building, and there's a dangerous criminal pointing a gun at your face. That's that's a pretty good reason to be a little worried. So the criminal is about to off this guy when suddenly, that's right, the gun's jammed, and then Barugan gets tossed into the building. Gamera is able to save the detective, but not the robber. And what happens to the robber? But it's more of a Disney villain fall, because he just falls down, goes out of focus, and no thud. So a more accurate representation of the robber's death is, so Gamera is still battling Barugan, I meant. So Barugan is still battling him when suddenly Barugan sticks out his tail. But Gamera over here, he's at a disadvantage because he thinks it's just the melee tongue attack. So he simply slaps the tongue away. But Barugan has a hole in his tongue that ends up spraying freezing mist everywhere. And Gamera gets frozen solid. Barugan is about to use his death rainbow to blow up Gamera and finish this, but the same police helicopter that dropped off the detective distracts Barugan and gives Gamera time to heal up. So now Barugan is just rampaging, and yeah, it's Barugan's movie now. So people are lighting matches and burning off the snow, but Barugan charges at them. Before he can make it to them to kill them, he ends up stepping in the water, and it deters him away. So then Gamera gets thawed out, and the two kaiju's final confrontation is on a cliff, and below the cliff is a huge lake. The final battle ensues. Barugan tries to cheat and use his mist breath and this misty tongue attack as much as possible, but Gamera keeps blasting it away with his fireballs. And then eventually Barugan uses his death rainbow, and actually harms Gamera, but not enough to draw blood out. So Barugan actually charges straight into Gamera's chest, but Gamera dodges just in time too. So Barugan is wondering is thinking about his next attack plan when suddenly Gamera tackles Barugan and throws and jumps off of the cliff into the pond. So now they're both falling. Barugan tries to make an iceberg in the lake, but well, the combined weight of the two kaiju make them smash through the iceberg. Gamera flies back up back onto the cliff, but Barugan jumps out of the water and he tries to climb up, but he can't due to the very steep nature of the cliff. So I haven't told you this yet, but unlike his father, Gamera has the elbow blades that Heisei Gamera does, but longer and more sharper. So Gamera flies down the hill, the cliff, and so Barugan is down, and their world is saved once again by Gamera Jr. And everyone's okay. The archaeologist's okay. The detective's okay. Everyone except the robber, because you know what happened to him. He tripped and well, I can say his money fell down. Okay, I probably cringe you guys really out, but I decided, but here's a, but they, so I didn't imagine that the studio had blown out their budget real quick with the second movie, so they opted for more practical effects in this movie. And they also couldn't afford more blood, so that's why they decided to make it more family friendly. So, here's the thing. So, there would still be some loose ends about everything, so yeah. Then there would be a 2-part TV special that would close those loose ends, untie those loose ends, and be the real finisher to the trilogy. The first part takes place before in the gap between Gamera between Guardian of Earth versus the Slicing Reaper. So, the 2 creatures per episode. The first episode featured Guiron, who is supposed to be a giant, mutated and irradiated, the last surviving Maldu who has been irradiated, and Zetus, a giant dinosaur who was awoken by a group of miners intruding in his underground tomb. The second part is Jiger, a giant Permian amphibian who was very angry about her corresponding artifact being moved. And Zegra, a shark-like alien sent by his alien masters to destroy all land masses on Earth, so that they can create an ocean world for them to live in. At the moment, I do not plan to make a single video about this TV special, so I'm gonna list off their deaths here. Giron gets blinded by his own morning star. Zetus gets thrown into a ravine and blasted by a fireball. Jiger suffers the same death as her old incarnation. That. And Zegra actually doesn't die. He just retreats back to his masters after taking a good beating. I have sayonara.